This is Brian coming to you from Colombia again, and today I want to talk about letting people in, creating that sense of a bubble. Like when you let somebody in and they feel like they've known you forever, they feel like, who are you? We're going to talk about what goes on inside the body when that happens now. Last week was about the science. This week is going to be about the actual practice of doing it. And then we're going to talk a little bit about how you can do it too. And the beauty of this practice is when you get good at it, you become much happier. You start to learn not only to let people in, you begin to let nature in, you begin to let beauty in everywhere you go. And that beauty just amplifies your quality of life. People are craving to be seen. People are craving to be let in, including myself, the whole world. We all want to be seen, whether we want to admit it to ourselves or not. And when we start feeling that sense that other people can let us in and can see us, it changes everything. And it also creates more success, more abundance financially and in all areas. So let's get started. But before we do, I want to show you this. This is part of why I'm in Colombia right now. Look at that beauty. Go a little slower. And then also because of the people. The people here naturally connect pretty well. They let you in. They're a little more, in the moment, flaky, flowing with life, even though it's not an island, it's kind of island time here, but at the same time, they really know how to let people in. And it's just a great place to come to really experience that hospitality, that connection, that let's sit down and have a coffee and really bond together to develop this skill. So this is one of the places I recommend. Now, with that said, I want to invite you to like, subscribe, and share if you haven't done that already. There's a lot of people watching the channel that haven't subscribed yet, and we want to get those subscriptions to 150 so we can help more people get the conversation, the chat going, because that conversation really helps all of us to learn. Now, let's get started. Okay, so what do I mean by letting somebody in? Well, I'm going to tell you a little story. Years ago, back when I was just primarily a dating coach and I wasn't doing as much energetics, I did understand the basics of energetics. I was working a lot. I was working my ass off. I was burned out. I was tired. I was fatigued. And I just wasn't enjoying life. And I knew at that point that an enjoyment of life was about the vulnerability of the heart, was about feeling from the heart. And it's about feeling vulnerable right here. Not needy, not insecure, just feeling more like this warmth. There's oxytocin that can pump here, plus there's a ton of other chemicals that really gives you a sense of feeling. And so I went out and I decided that I was not going to start work each day till I took a walk and I began feeling more. I called them the heart walks at that time. And I'd walk around in nature, seeing the beauty, like the scenery that's over here right now. And I would look at that scenery and I would practice just meditating on opening my heart and feeling, for example, a palm tree, feeling nature, feeling the bird, feeling people. And it would take a while, but usually every day I'd reach a point where there was a sense that my heart relaxed, the armoring around my chest relaxed, and there was a sense that I could take a breath. And I was like, oh man, I feel better. And sometimes that took 45 minutes. Sometimes that took 10 minutes. Sometimes I think maybe the most it probably took was an hour. But there would be this moment where everything changed. And suddenly that tree just didn't feel like a tree anymore. It kind of felt alive. Everything had this sense of energetic exchange between me and it. And I got to where I craved getting that experience in the morning because it would make the rest of my day go way better. I would enjoy work more. Well, there were some bonuses that went with that. As I learned to do it more and more, as I practiced it more and more and got better and better at it, I said, well, what if I did this directly with people? So I started calling those the vulnerability walks. And I'd walk around and I would go to the burger shop up the street called Burger Lounge. I remember this place. And I would practice opening my heart and letting in the girl that worked there. I knew her already, but it was just a sense of what's it like to feel her? What's it like to be fully present with her? And suddenly there would be this moment, if I didn't have any armoring up, where I would feel almost like this conduit between us. And there was this warmth and this fuzziness, and it felt so good. Now, I had accomplished that feeling before. I'd accomplished it years earlier at this other coffee shop, and I'd accomplished it with clients, and I had worked on it a bit. But I had never done a daily practice cultivating it at that point. And I was developing out a lot of my energetic skills more at that point, and I was like experimenting with them. And I said, well, what if I just cultivate this every day? What if I make it a daily practice? And so I started doing it more and more. I'd go out and walk for a while and say, can I let in this new barista I've never met? And I would look and she'd start to order and she'd be in her head and she'd be running around and I'd stand there and I'd wait and I'd open my heart. Now that I practiced it a lot, been doing it days on end, maybe I went out that morning, maybe it took me 15 minutes to get it open, and I'd sit there and I'd wait and I'd be still inside. And eventually she'd look at me, lock in, because she realized I'm not going to talk till she looks at me because she's busy. It's a Los Angeles Starbucks at the time. And the moment she locked in, I go, how's your day going? Or, are you having a good day? And she'd see that I'm actually letting her in. I'd feel it. I'd feel this moment of connection most of the time. Now, she still had a wall up and she was still pulled back. It didn't always work. But I'd say a good chunk of the time it did, even in LA. And the interesting thing was how I noticed that people felt seen. People really liked it. Some women just leaned in. Some people, men too, I do it with men too, they'd lean in and they want to talk to you more. They want to get to know you better. I mean, I just had a guy tell me today, like, dude, I could listen to you talk all day, because we were talking about some stuff and I was sharing something with him and he was really fascinated by what I had to talk and he wants me to come speak at an event that he has. And I was thinking to myself, wow, that's a hell of a compliment, but that's really this energy. Now, something else happened with letting in energy, getting vulnerable in a strong sort of way with people, where I'm actually seeing and feeling their emotions, is that I began to get intuitive hits about people. I'd feel an emotion like, oh, she's sad when she talks about that, or there's something, there's some curiosity going on there, or she's leaning in and I can kind of feel her attraction. She's getting attracted and I can feel all her subtle movements, not just see them, but I can feel them. And that was really powerful. So as it developed more and more with time, just like anything with time, more awareness developed, more understanding developed. As I worked with more clients, more understanding developed. And I began to realize it's not just the heart, it's also the stomach, it's also the hips. The whole body plays in this process. And you're like this conduit. And when you let somebody in, the whole body reads that person and then you respond from that. So then what you say becomes natural. It's like, well, if I just say anything, as long as I've been feeling this person in front of me is probably going to enjoy it. But in reality, there's almost like a flow that takes over. Now, I'm not saying having banter lines and doing practices doesn't hurt. Like, practice that stuff, because that stuff will be in the background of your mind. And when you're connected to somebody in flow state, some of that will just come up naturally. You look like trouble. What are you out doing today? And then they just giggle, because the connection makes it 10 times more powerful. You don't have to emphasize it a lot. You can just flow with it. So to get this video going today, I really want you to understand the power of this process over time, consistency. Compounding interest is the 8th wonder of the world. So over time, it's going to compound into something powerful and amazing. But to do that, I want you to understand what's going on in the body. I'm always talking about what's going on in the body, but in the last video, I talked about the science of connection. Today, we're going to talk about the science of dropping into your body a little bit, and then we're going to do it. So let's dive into that right now. By the way, if you haven't checked out last week's video, the link will be in the description. Definitely check that one out so you can get some of the science behind what happens after connection. It's really interesting. So let's dive in. The prefrontal cortex, your executive control center, judgment, calculation, and overthinking. And when this thing is tight and you're overthinking, it's really hard to have a good conversation. I've seen it time and time again. And when it loosens and opens, people naturally fall into you more and more if you can feel down the front of your body. When the prefrontal cortex is running the show, you're performing instead of connecting. You have to soften the grip. You have to relax right here. This is where meditation comes in. That's why meditation is so powerful. If you're learning to relax in this part of the mind, it's almost like as if I relax right here and broaden and widen. Everybody do that and just go real wide. It becomes harder and harder to think. And that's what you want. You want to think less. You don't want to think more. The less you think, the more likely you are to enter flow, the more likely you are to feel everybody, the more likely you are to respond to the moment. The more you think, the more you go in the future, the past. Your mind starts calculating all these ideas up here, and you disconnect from the person in front of you and from the conversation. You may say all the right things, but there'll be no feeling in it, okay? So the next one here, vagus nerve, your body's internal highway for safety. It runs from your brainstem all the way down through your throat, heart, and gut. And when it's activated, it signals to everyone around you, below their conscious awareness, that you're safe to be near. This is the wire that carries letting people in through your whole body. You can't fake vagal tone. People feel it. So that is, I can't exactly remember, but it's around the stomach. I remember a doctor got the wise idea to cut my mom's vagus nerve when she was having all these stomach issues. Worst thing that could ever be done. He was trying to get her to stop having ulcers, but it just did nothing but problems. So especially if it's one of the centers that helps people to feel safe around you when it's activated, it's super important. So let's continue on. Let's talk about the heart. And there's more and more research that's saying the heart is more of a vortex now than a muscle, and it's putting out a field. And I believe this more and more because when my heart kicks up, when I begin to feel more, I begin to, there's just almost like it's radiating energy that comes out of me, to me, and from other people as they begin to get in tune with what with my heart. As my heart drops down, it opens up, people connect to that. We begin to create a flow together. So the heart, not a metaphor. Literal neurology. The heart has its own nervous system, around 40,000 neurons. It sends more signals to the brain than the brain sends down to it. When the heart opens, it broadcasts a measurable electromagnetic field. Research shows that people can detect each other's heart rhythms without touching. This is what she's feeling. This is what she's reading where she says, I just felt something. So if you're not good at feeling this heart walks, vulnerability walks, I talked about them earlier, then this is definitely something that you want to get turned on. Okay, the next part, we want to talk about the gut. This is the energy. Now remember, this is the highway or the center pillar or the front line. There's a lot of terms for it. Starts here, you relax here, and then the energy begins to relax down the front of the body, and that's the way we're working. So now we're at the gut, and the gut is fascinating. 90% of your body's serotonin is produced here, not in your head. Most people know serotonin as the feel-good chemical, but it's really your stability and your trust chemical. So think about that. That's pretty cool, isn't it? I didn't know that until I read this. Serotonin is your stability and trust chemical. Not hyped up, grounded, settled, socially confident without needing to perform. So as you learn to produce more serotonin and you have it more in your body, you start to feel more relaxed. You feel more confident. I always say when you drop into the gut, and this has been my personal experience and clients' experience, and you begin to communicate from the gut and the heart together, you feel certain, you feel confident, you feel definitive. We can see it on camera. We can see it when we do slow-mo videos. We can see it when we do breakdowns. It's very, very powerful. When the PFC is overactive and you're stuck in your head, you cut yourself off from your own serotonin supply. The gut goes quiet. The stability disappears, and she feels that instability even if she can't explain why she's pulling back. When you drop back into your body, you're not just being present, you're restoring your own neurochemistry. Okay, now for the last one before we do a little bit of a practice in this area to begin to understand what I'm talking about at a deeper level. The nerve roots, where the whole system grounds itself out. I'm always talking about grounding. I'm always talking about feeling the earth beneath you and also letting the earth feed your body. This is very important. I have meditations for this. I have processes for this. All my advanced clients work on mastering this because it's that important. The lower nerve roots connect your central nervous system through your legs and your feet. This is why the walk matters, the heart walk, the vulnerability walk. A lot of times I'm walking and I'm grounding into the ground because I can't connect with my heart unless there's some grounding. There has to be a little bit of grounding for the heart to kick up. And we've done this as a practice where we actually unground, and then you notice you can't feel with your heart, especially when we're standing in front of another person. And then when you reground, the heart begins to open again. Very important piece. Movement activates this process. When you feel your feet on the ground, you complete the circuit from PFC all the way down. That's opening the full channel. So hopefully you're understanding how important this is and how real this is. It's not just a metaphysical idea, right? If we go back and we look at the teachings of the yogis, they got it. They got it a long time ago, and we're now beginning to understand the science behind it and the energetics behind it and why they were doing what they were doing. Now, how do you put this into practice? People have been asking me that in the comments. People have been talking about that. I do have some vulnerability walks, previous videos I've done on this, and there'll be a link in the description. So if you want to go through that video, definitely check that out. I highly recommend it. But for right now, let's play with this a little bit. Okay, so now we're gonna get started on the process of letting people in, what I used to call the heart walks, vulnerability walks, and learning to connect through the heart more. And that requires really a feeling down the whole body, the front of the body. Now, I just had to move over a little bit. The wind was getting a little strong, so I was afraid it was blowing on the mic. And I want you to be able to really stay tuned with this. So the first thing I want you to do is to start to take a couple nice breaths, about 4 seconds in and about 6 seconds out. You can just estimate. That's not rocket science. Good, good, good. Now I want you to begin to feel the prefrontal cortex, or what they would call the third eye, right? And begin to imagine you could see with the peripheral, or feel with the peripheral of this part of the third eye. It's the forehead. For me, it feels like a relaxation in the forehead, where I relax and I begin to go out this way a little bit. Sometimes it helps to see a little bit more at the peripheral of the cones of my eyes. And I just start to take in all the space around me and in front of me. Now, if you go too far, you're going to begin to feel numb. So just kind of go in and go out and balance it. Now, as a practice, as I talk, if you begin to think a lot, widen a little bit more to let go of the thinking. Trust that your mind can hear what I'm saying. You can play this over again and over again until the mind gets it, rather than you thinking about it and memorizing it. Kind of like a baby learns a language. Just let it in, let it flow through you. And again, as I speak, tune into what I'm saying and then tune back out. And now look around the room you're in and take something in. I'm seeing a beautiful plant over here, and I'm going to lock in on it. And then I'm going to widen, and I'm going to take in the whole environment with the plant in it, and I'm going to notice the difference. Now I'm going to do it again, but this time I'm going to lock in a lot, to where I'm pushing out the environment and I'm getting real focused on that plant. And then I'm going to widen again until I just let it in enough where I can begin to feel it in my heart, if you can do that yet. And then I'm going to go wider, where I take in the whole environment. And just notice what that feels like. That's the basis of the practice already. Now, the next thing you want to do is begin to relax in the jaw and the throat if you can't feel the heart, because a lot of times we hold tension right in here and right in the jaw that blocks us from feeling our heart. And sometimes even in the ear canals, if you can feel into there. So all I do is, as I set the intention in the prefrontal cortex, then I widen it, and I let that intention drop down to feel my jaw, to feel my face. I might even go up and touch it. I might even move it a little bit. And I'll explore any place that I'm tightening or pulling up. I'll take a breath, and I'll just relax back down and back out. So down and out. So I might do the one side of the neck. Down and out. Go do the other side of the neck. Down and out. And then feel the cheeks. Come back down, relax down with the out breath, and then wide. And then begin to feel the inner ear canal if you can. Just kind of move your head and feel into the ears. Breathe in, and then relax out. And start to notice if there's a sense that the prefrontal cortex and this area around the mouth and the throat are starting to feel more unified, starting to feel a bit more connected. Now for you, you might want to spend more time, 5 minutes, 10 minutes even, just relaxing this area, getting it in tune with this area. But later, when you really start to get it more and more, it'll just happen almost instantly. Like you set the intention, if it's a little tight, and it just starts releasing and opening and letting go. Now let's continue on down. I want you to begin to feel in the upper chest. And again, feel your breath and just see if you can drop that breath down to the chest itself. And then imagine there's a window here. As the energy drops down, you're setting the intention to drop down through this area to the heart. As it gets down to the heart, set an intention to have the heart open like a window, just a little bit. But only open it as much as your mind feels comfortable, as your body feels comfortable. A little bit can go a long ways. So just ask it to open as much as it's willing. And then accept that. If it's 1%, it's 1%. If it's 100%, it's 100%. And just breathe into it. Breathe out of it, and breathe into it. And then ask it to open a little bit more. And notice what that feels like. And then ask it to close a little bit. Notice what that feels like. And then one more time, ask it to open a little bit more. Now, ask it to open as wide as it's willing right now. And then feel that breath, and begin to feel from the prefrontal cortex down to the throat, down to the heart, and notice what that feels like. Just feel that whole area. And then again, begin to look around the space you're in. I'm going to look back at this plant, and I'm going to open here in the prefrontal cortex and allow the feeling of the plant to come in and drop all the way to my heart as much as it's willing. I'm going to take in the whole environment around me, this beautiful valley right here, and allow it in, allow it to drop into my heart. And there's a sense I'm receiving it. When I calibrate the prefrontal cortex just right, there's a sense I'm receiving it. And there's a sense of feeling right here. This is why my teacher used to call it being and feeling. I'm feeling that view. I'm feeling the artwork in front of me. I'm feeling the beautiful woman that's looking at me. And I'm letting what she says to me drop into my heart, which is where I get emotional reads. She might say something that has a deep emotional impact on her, but she kind of pulls it and keeps it subtle, but you feel that in your heart. You feel, oh, that's important to her. Hey, tell me more about that. Comes out of you naturally. So just notice what that feels like. This is also when you get somewhat good at it and you say hi to the barista and you actually let her in. You say, how's your day going? Now drop it a little bit deeper and begin to feel it in your stomach and notice what that feels like. And welcome that feeling in the stomach. And this is where I feel these floating ribs relax open. And I begin to feel this sense of certainty. It's almost like this gives the heart more confidence and more certainty. That's that serotonin effect we talked about. So feel the heart, feel that certainty, just relax into it. And then begin to feel the ground beneath you, all the way down to the earth, and relax out and down, reverse Kegel. Breathe in, breathe out, and down through the perineum, through the ass, down through the earth, through the legs, into the feet. Then breathe back up. And then do it again. Breathe down. And then one more time, look around and start taking some stuff in. Feel the tree. I'm looking at this beautiful tree right here, taking it in. And there's a sense for me, almost like I could have a conversation with the tree, you know, that hippie new age stuff, right? And I just feel that. And there's so much green here, and it's so much spring weather here, like perfect temperature, perfect weather. It's just amazing. And so it's easy to take in the beauty here. But I know you have something in your space where you could do that too. And when you begin to be able to do this with stuff that's not so beautiful, when you begin to be able to feel stuff that's heavier or darker and take it in and open your heart to that, you're really beginning to get it. So this video is running a little long, so I'm going to end it. Hopefully you enjoyed this practice. Definitely comment below. I want to know what you think of this. If you're going to do this practice, how often you're going to do it, what you want to know more about. Yeah, that's it. Remember, only the courageous really live, and I'll see you in the next video.